Start the newscast with the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju, who hit out at the opposition over disruptions in the Parliament. Now, Kiren Rijiju said that we agreed to opposition's demand to discuss Operation Sindoor in the Parliament, but instead of debating, the opposition chose to create a ruckus. The minister accused the opposition of deliberately derailing proceedings, saying the entire first week was disturbed due to their actions. Kiren Rijiju confirmed that the issue of Pahalgam will be taken up for discussion on Monday and expressed hope that the House will function smoothly in the coming week.
बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी लोकसभा स्पीकर के माध्यम से बुलाए गए थे। उसमें भी बात को फिर से दोहराया कि हम ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार हैं। तो आज बीएससी में ये निर्णय हुआ कि अगले सप्ताह यानी कि मंडे को स्पेशल डिस्कशन ऑन टेररिस्ट अटैक इन पहलगाम and in response to that the operation Sindoor carried out by Indian Armed Forces, इस पे हम चर्चा करेंगे। पहलगाम पे आतंकवादियों का हमला और फिर सरकार का जवाब ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के माध्यम से सेना ने जो जवाब किया है उसके चर्चा होंगे। तो इसमें सहमति बने हैं। तो मंडे से अच्छी तरह से हम सदन चलाने के लिए आज सब पार्टी ने मिलकर के एग्री किया है। मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि ये एग्रीमेंट को आगे नहीं तोड़ेंगे और मंडे से सुचारू रूप से सदन चलेंगे। ये मैं उम्मीद के साथ आपको बता रहा हूं।
Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju saying that there is going to be a discussion on Operation Sindoor on the Pahalgam terror attack on Monday. That's the 28th of this month. Discussion on Operation Sindoor in Lok Sabha on the 28th of July. And what we're also picking up is that there will be a senior ministers' meeting with Amit Shah this very evening. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju, Arjun Ram Meghwal, the Law Minister and other senior ministers will be in attendance. Both the houses will approve the names of the BJP speakers who are going to be deliberating on Operation Sindoor. This is going to be, mind you, a special discussion, and sources are also telling us that the Prime Minister would also likely take part in this discussion in the Parliament. Listen in to what else the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju had to say.
मानसून सत्र का पहला सप्ताह का जो गतिविधि है आप सब ने देखा है। संसद सत्र शुरू होने से पहले कांग्रेस पार्टी और कई दलों ने लिख करके अनुरोध किया था कि पहलगाम में आतंकवादी हमला और ऑपरेशन सिंदूर को लेकर के पार्लियामेंट में चर्चा होनी चाहिए। पार्लियामेंट शुरू होते ही हमने सरकार की ओर से साफ शब्दों में कहा कि हम चर्चा के लिए तैयार हैं। पहले दिन हमने बिजनेस लेके आए और साथ साथ में बिजनेस एडवाइजरी कमेटी में हमने बात रखी कि हम ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर चर्चा करने के लिए तैयार हैं। लेकिन विपक्ष की ओर से पहले दिन से हंगामा शुरू कर दिया और नियम के विरुद्ध तकिया लेकर के पोस्टर बैनर लेकर के संसद के अंदर और संसद के बाहर प्रदर्शन किया और सदन को चलने नहीं दिया। पहले सप्ताह में सिर्फ एक ही बिल हम पास कर पाए हैं। एक बिल पास होने के बाद फिर से हमने अनुरोध किया कि हम दूसरे बिल भी लिस्टेड है और चर्चा करके पारित करना चाहिए। लेकिन कांग्रेस और कुछ दलों ने फिर से हंगामा, शोर शराबे और तकिया लेकर के पार्लियामेंट के अंदर में फिर पार्लियामेंट के बाहर भी हंगामा करके पार्लियामेंट प्रोसीडिंग का बाधित किया है।
That was Kiren Rijiju hitting out at the opposition yet again, saying right from the get-go of the monsoon session of the parliament, this entire week has been marred with these disruptions. There was absolutely no formal proceeding that could take place, and the opposition being blamed for that, be it the special intensive revision, be it a discussion on Operation Sindoor. The opposition has been making proceedings difficult, is what Kiren Rijiju, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, is saying. Meanwhile, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha all set to discuss Operation Sindoor. In the Lok Sabha, 16 hours set aside, 9 hours set aside in the Rajya Sabha. 29th July, discussion on Operation Sindoor in the Rajya Sabha, and 28th, that's the next Monday, the first day of next week, Operation Sindoor to be taken up in the lower house of the Parliament. Meanwhile, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi also sharpened his pitch for an OBC outreach, launching a fresh attack on the BJP and the RSS, whilst calling for a nationwide caste census. This, speaking at an event, he accused the RSS of deliberately keeping the OBC community in the shadows, even omitting their history from the NCERT textbooks.
अब मैं 2004 से राजनीति कर रहा हूं और 21 साल हो गए, और जब मैं पीछे देखता हूं और एक प्रकार से अपनी सेल्फ एनालिसिस करता हूं, मैंने कहां-कहां सही काम किया और कहां कमी रही, तो 2-3 बड़ी इश्यूज दिखती हैं मुझे। मगर अगर मैं थोड़ा पीछे को देखता हूं तो मुझे एक बात बिल्कुल क्लियर दिखती है कि एक चीज में मेरी कमी रही थी। भैया बोलने दो, ब्रदर, बोलने दो, आप बाद में बोलना। तो एक चीज में
Well, now, Rahul Gandhi also admitted that the Congress made mistakes and is not safeguarding OBC interests in the past. And now BJP spokesperson Sudhanshu Trivedi hitting out at Rahul Gandhi. Let's dip into that press conference.
राहुल गांधी जी हमेशा से प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के बारे में बहुत अशोभनीय शाब्दिक लफाजी करने के आदतन हो चुके हैं, आदी हो चुके हैं, और यह उनकी गरिमा के तो प्रतिकूल है ही। भारत में संविधान की मर्यादा और राजनीति की मर्यादा को ध्वस्त करने का एक उदाहरण है। आज तालकटोरा स्टेडियम में राहुल गांधी जी द्वारा आदतन फितरतन जैसे बोला जाता है, उसी प्रकार की जो बातें बोली गई, उसके ऊपर हम स्पष्ट करना चाहते हैं। 4 पीढ़ियों तक भारत के पिछड़े वर्ग की आकांक्षाओं का हनन करने वाले, उसका दमन करने वाले कांग्रेस के इस प्रथम परिवार के सदस्य राहुल गांधी जी आज एक मुखौटा लगाकर अपनी चुनाव में हुई हार की खिसियाहट निकालना चाह रहे हैं। हम राहुल गांधी जी से पूछना चाहते हैं कि आज उन्होंने कहा कि विश्वविद्यालयों में कितने प्रोफेसर किस वर्ग के हैं, तो श्री राहुल गांधी जी ध्यानपूर्वक सुनिए। विश्वविद्यालय में प्रोफेसर बनने के लिए पहले व्यक्ति असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर में सेलेक्ट होता है, फिर निश्चित समय के बाद वो एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर तक पहुंचता है, फिर निश्चित समय के बाद सिलेक्शन के द्वारा प्रोफेसर बनता है। ये कांग्रेस का अध्यक्ष पद नहीं है कि आप पैदा हुए और सीधे आपको ले जाकर बैठा दिया गया। मैं पूछना चाहता हूं, आज जो भी लोग हैं वो 15-20 साल पहले आए होंगे, वही बने होंगे। मैं विनम्रता और चुनौती से पूछता हूं, कांग्रेस बताएगी 2004 से 14 के बीच में इन्हीं विश्वविद्यालयों में कितने असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर SC ST और OBC के बनाए थे। मैं कांग्रेस से पूछना चाहता हूं कि आज हमारे कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी 1987 बैच के हैं, उस समय कांग्रेस की सरकार नहीं, राजीव गांधी जी की सरकार थी, राहुल गांधी जी आपके पिताश्री की सरकार थी। IAS में कितने OBC थे? कितने एससी थे, कितने एसटी सेक्रेटरी थे, इसका जवाब दीजिए। और
So Rahul Gandhi's OBC push right now, of course, hitting out at the ruling dispensation, and now Sudhanshu Trivedi hitting out at Rahul Gandhi, saying how many OBCs were promoted during the Congress's tenure. Well, that political upmanship is going to continue, but let's bring you up to speed with the top global developments that are coming your way. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he arrived in Maldives' Malé for the second leg of his 4-day two-nation tour. Upon arrival, Prime Minister Modi was given a warm reception in Malé, the capital of the island nation. He participated in the Maldives' 60th Independence Day celebrations as chief guest, marking a significant moment in bilateral ties. An official welcome ceremony was held at the Republic Square, where Prime Minister Modi was also accorded a ceremonial reception, all in presence of President Mohammad Muizzu. As part of the ceremony, Prime Minister Modi received a 21-gun salute, and the national anthems of India and Maldives are played to honor the visiting dignitary. He becomes the first foreign head of state to be hosted by President Muizzu, signaling a significant thaw in diplomatic ties between the two countries. Prime Minister Modi is also scheduled to inaugurate several India-funded development projects. Notably, India has extended financial support by rolling over a $50 million treasury bill for another year, underlining its continued commitment to the Maldives' economic stability. Prime Minister Modi and President Muizzu, they held bilateral talks covering a range of issues, including national security in the Indian Ocean region. India continues to play a key role in strengthening Maldivian defense capabilities by training Maldivian personnel and conducting joint naval exercises, reflecting the robust security cooperation between these two nations. And take a look at this. India's manufacturing engine is roaring ahead. According to fresh data from S&P Global, India's manufacturing PMI surged to 59.2 in July 2025, marking the highest level in nearly 17 and a half years. That's a jump from 58.4 back in June, reflecting strong domestic and global demand that's fueling robust industrial growth. Now, the broader composite PMI also shot up to 60.7, the fastest pace seen in over a year. This upswing is being driven by buoyant demand, technological upgrades, and expansion in production capabilities. There's also good news on the jobs front. Employment picked up sharply, especially in the services sector, suggesting that this economic expansion is translating into real job creation. PMI data shows good producers outpaced service providers, with manufacturing output growing at the fastest pace since April 2024. And while services growth did ease slightly in July, it remains strong by historical standards. Overall, India's private sector is thriving. HSBC's flash PMI data points to sharp rises in sales, export orders, and output. And looking ahead, Indian companies remain upbeat about the next 12 months, confident that demand and investment momentum will continue to power this growth. Boost to India's manufacturing hub. A major uptick that we're looking at. According to fresh data, this from S&P Global, India's manufacturing PMI surged to 59.2 in July 2025, marking the highest level in nearly 17 and a half years. Shweta Kothari, my colleague, joins us on the broadcast here. Shweta, highest PMI in the last 17 and a half years. And what's more is that the manufacturing hub and industry is looking quite hopeful for the next 12 months as well. Shweta Kothari is soon going to be with us. A little technical difficulty over there, but this needs to be talked about as well, because this is a massive boost to India's manufacturing hub. Highest PMI in 17 years, 59.2 in the month of July. Manufacturing PMI rose to 59.2 in July 2025. That's the highest in the last 17 years. The surge from 58.4 just a month back in June, continues to signal that robust growth in India's manufacturing sector. And what's more is that just with the free trade agreement signed between India and United Kingdom, our MSME sector and the manufacturing will have greater access to European markets as well. All right, I'm being told Shweta Kothari with us on the broadcast. Shweta, highest in the last 17 years, the manufacturing PMI at 59.2. The next 12 months looking quite hopeful for the manufacturing sector as well.
Right, Kabir. In fact, it's a signal to a very highly and healthily improved economy and especially manufacturing sector. So for the benefit of our viewers, quickly let me tell you what PMI is. PMI, or Purchasing Managers Index, it's an economic indicator. Basically, it measures overall business activity across both manufacturing and services. So it tracks production, new orders, employment, supply performance, inventories, and based on responses from purchasing managers, there's a reading of either 50, which signals growth, 50 and above signals growth, anything below 50 indicates contraction. Now, in this case, it's not just the 50. In July, we have touched 59.2 on manufacturing PMI, which is one of the highest, as you mentioned, in 17 and a half years. Now, it's also important to mention that when you look at manufacturing, apart from manufacturing, services has also come in at a very high. Services output index has risen to 60.7 in the month of June. So overall, composite, PMI, both services as well as manufacturing, is also above 60 marks. So while services activity is growing, there's the pace of expansion, however, softened in the month of June, since services PMI in July was 59.8, down from 60.4 in June. But overall, it does look like, manufacturing sector is currently strong. There is a strong export-led growth, and this is basically coming in the wake of Donald Trump's tariffs. Everything boils down to the fact that countries are onshoring, products very, very quickly. They're preparing for what could come by the way of price hikes, and that is where India's manufacturing sector is seeing a record high. Basically, export-led manufacturing is what India is witnessing at the moment.
Shweta, before we let you go very quickly, what impact might this, great PMI surge have on India's overall economic outlook? We're talking about sustained economic expansion. We're also looking at acceleration, output and exports that you just pointed out as well. But what on the job creation and labor market strength front?
So essentially, more production means more job creation, and that's exactly what's happening. When you look at the report that's come out from HSBC by the way of purchasing managers' response to what's likely to be a great year going forward, if manufacturing continues to expand at a pace it is at the moment. So overall sentiment is looking good, and there is an opportunity for greater employment going forward. However, remember, the sentiment slipped in March of 2023. It was weighed down by concerns over price pressure, also rising competition for new work, but those concerns seem to be behind us. So as of July of 2025, we're looking at a turnaround for India.
All right, Shweta Kothari bringing us the latest details. A major positive impact on the GDP growth over here as well, and where India soon poised to take the third place as the third biggest economy. How soon will we get there? Well, signs looking really bright. Shweta, many thanks for joining us here on the broadcast. The Kannur prison break, and in a major development, Govindachammy is now going to be transferred to another jail. Now, he is likely to be transferred to the high security Viyyur Central Jail. This is in Thrissur in Kerala, and this comes after the security breach at Kerala's Kannur Central Jail that triggered a national alert after Govindachammy, the convict in the 2011 Soumya rape and murder case, escaped from his jail cell early on Friday morning. The one-handed convict reportedly used an axo blade, which was allegedly given to him by a fellow inmate, to cut through the iron bars, tied together clothes of prisoners to make a rope, and scaled 3 walls, including a 6-meter-high compound wall topped with an electric fence. Mind you, he's physically challenged. How he accessed the blade and avoided the live fence remains under investigation, with reports suggesting the power may have been switched off. The escape took place around 1:15 a.m. and was discovered around 5:15 a.m. when officials spotted a rope dangling from the wall. A cell check confirmed that Govindachammy was missing. and he was eventually caught and was pulled out of a well around 10:40 a.m. in Thalapu area of Kannur, which is about 3.5 kilometers away from the jail itself, after local residents recognized Govindachammy. One man reportedly called out, "Eda Govindachammy," upon which he fled, leading to a police alert and his capture from the nearby well. The Kannur police have now registered a fresh case against him for the jailbreak, and he is now expected to be produced in court today. Meanwhile, the deputy prison officer Rajesh and 3 assistant prison officers have been suspended for the lapses that led to the escape. And despite being housed in that high security block of the Kannur jail, officials remain clueless about how the convict gathered materials, the axo blade to cut the iron bars, clothes to make a full-fledged rope for him to scale down 3 walls, and pulled off the escape undetected. Govindachammy was serving a life sentence for the 2011 rape and murder of 23-year-old Soumya, who was assaulted during a robbery on a train from Ernakulam to Shornur. My colleague Sneha Koshi helps the viewers understand how this escape was carried out. Take a look.
What we are really looking at is absolute dramatic unfolding of not fiction but reality. And what you're seeing right now is the desperate chase by cops in Kannur. Absolutely hapless, desperate chase, because the convict here, who now is being pulled up from the well, as you can see in the visuals, a scrawny looking man who's lost his limb as well. Earlier, of course, much earlier in his life. This man is a murder and rape accused. Now let's just go back to the visuals and that desperate hunt by the cops. What really was that? Because there was a high profile jailbreak early in the morning in Kannur, in Kerala. Remember, Kerala is going to elections in just a matter of few months. Early next year is when the elections are likely to happen. So this jailbreak wasn't about just a murder accused, not accused, actually a murder rape convict making a high profile jail escape, but it could have been a hugely embarrassing situation for the government, which it is. Because though this man has been caught just hours within that escape, the questions, big questions still remain. How did he manage to cut the rods of a high profile jail? High security, he's in a high security chamber in that Kannur jail. How did he manage to do that? Early in the morning, where did he get that weapon, that knife that he could actually saw through that rod? How did he manage to do that? That's a big question. So obviously there were linkages with the cops. Heads will roll. That's just one question. How did he manage to scale that huge, massive wall? And I just wish we had those visuals of the Kannur jail to show. It has a massive wall. How could he actually manage to scale that without anybody seeing? No CCTV camera. Questions, weren't the CCTV cameras being monitored in a high-profile prison? Well, these are just some of the questions. But remember, this happened early in the morning. Kerala woke up to the news of the escape of convict Govindachammy. And when that happened, there were emotions right up there. People were on the roads looking for Govindachammy in Kerala. Police was deployed all over the place. And as people went out, it was the people, the locals in that particular area who shouted out, "Hey, Govindachammy," and he turned around and looked. They quickly alerted the police. He had escaped by then. He went to an abandoned building, jumped into a well, tried hiding there. Locals tipped off the police. Police went and caught him. That was the drama that unfolded. Of course, what could have been a big tipping point for the left government seems to be saved from at this point. Remember, he's an habitual offender from Tamil Nadu. And this kind of ended in a way when that rape and murder happened. And when he was eventually arrested, again, it was an absolute disbelief of how he could throw a 23-year-old young woman traveling in a train off the train onto the tracks, eventually go on to rape her. And then she succumbed to her wounds. That's really what had unfolded years back. And today, he tried the massive jailbreak, succeeded, but was eventually caught. Some of you may have seen the Kerala Files, the Mammootty starrer, the Kannur Files. Well, if that really wasn't a plot, this could have been a plot. Unfortunately, this is a reality. Huge questions, big answers. Heads have already started to roll. This is Govindachammy, convict, high-profile convict, murder, rape accused in a high-profile jail who managed to escape.